Today is the regular board meeting of the Texas Alamo College Board of Trustees, April 22nd, 2021. Present are Ms. Delia Saenz, Dr. Anthony Zabaleta,
Thank you.
J.J. De Leon, Ms. Adela Garza, myself, and Dr. Jesus Roberto Rodriguez. Dr. Zabaleta, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'd be honored. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all. Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item number 3, public comments. I believe Ms. Lucio is going to wait to see if there are any questions on your item. Is that correct, Ms. Lucio? Thank you so much. Next item, President's report. I'll call on Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair Herrera, Board of Trustees. I'd like to begin tonight's report by sharing another impressive recognition our staff has earned for the college. The TSC Student Accounting Department was recognized with the 2020 Bank Mobile Achievement Campus Efficiency Award. The award honors TSC's commitment to efficiency, security, and student service. TSC partnered with Bank Mobile to deliver financial aid and other school refunds to TSC students in 2019. The program provides students with additional options for receiving their funds electronically, which became even more important once we pivoted to remote operations last spring. Congratulations to the Student Accounting Department for the great work under the leadership of Dr. Gisela Figueroa. Thank you, ma'am. You've heard me report out on programs we have initiated to provide more opportunities for targeted populations, like the pretrial diversion program. Our grants team and workforce training continuing education department has partnered with the Texas Workforce Commission to provide more scholarships for community members facing a number of challenges. TSC was awarded $351,794 in grant funds from the Texas Workforce Commission Self-Sufficiency Fund. Through this program, TSC will be providing training for adult recipients of temporary assistance for needy families and individuals at risk of becoming dependent on public assistance. Through the Self-Sufficiency Fund grant, TSC will provide 188 trainees with 6 fast-track training programs in the construction field, including welding, plumbing technician, industrial insulator, scaffolder, forklift driver, and an electrician technician. In addition, the grant will fund a full-time training success coach who will serve as a case manager for participants. The coach will also work with our community partners on job placement for our graduates. I would like to thank the TSC grant team for workforce training and the continuing education department for bringing this opportunity to our community. Next, I would like to call upon Dr. David Pierce, Dean of the Health Professions, to provide us with an update on the EMS and Respiratory Care Science Program.
Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, thank you. The EMS program is continuing with what has already been done with providing lectures, providing special training, tutoring. Many sections have been offered. Not many students have shown up. The current students that we have from 2 years ago have a 2-year window to complete. That's by May 1st. Students that have graduated this year, we hope to have all of them done by May 1st also. So we're continuing to make progress, continuing to offer at any hour students are available, and not very many students are showing up thus far. That's the current status of EMS. Okay. For our respiratory program, we are pleased to announce that we have found a candidate who has accepted the offer, and we are in the process of going through the HR paperwork at this time to get everything qualified and set in. We do know we got email from the COARC, the Accreditation for Respiration, that we need to have someone in place by April 30th in order to avoid a possible administrative probation. I've been talking to HR, and it looks like there's a good chance we will have that person on board before April 30th. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Next, just a couple of reminders that are part of the TSC ongoing efforts to keep students safe. As the pandemic winds down, more people get vaccinated and public health guidelines reflect improvement. TSC Spring 2021 commencement will be held virtually on Saturday, May 15th at 6:30 p.m. We'll be celebrating one of our largest graduating classes with 556 candidates.
Wow.
This includes 124 dual enrollment students expected to achieve their diplomas or receive their diplomas. 121 of those students are from the Brownsville Independent School District. 2 are from Los Fresnos School District. We're also graduating the very first dual enrollment student from the Harlingen School District. We look forward to celebrating with the graduates and their families. Also want to include the reminder that TSC will extend remote instruction through the summer 21 sessions. TSC continues to partner with the City of Brownsville to host the COVID-19 vaccination clinics at the iTech Center. New this month, we held the first dose vaccination clinic exclusively for our TSC students. We're very pleased that we were able to provide this clinic to our students. As more vaccines become available, we look forward to hosting additional clinics. Today, TSC has hosted 10 vaccination clinics and counting. Through which approximately 11,905 vaccines have been distributed to our community, students, and employees. I want to thank Mr. Jaime Salazar, our Executive Director of our Environmental Health, Safety, and Risk Management for coordinating these efforts. And thank you to the TSC volunteers who have made the clinics possible. So thank you. TSC celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Week of the Young Child, an initiative of the National Association for the Education of Young Children. The Raul Guerra Early Childhood Center led the celebration, which was held April 10th through the 16th. Events included the creation of the original family song compositions, exchanging health recipes, creating outdoor art, dressing up for TSC Spirit Day, and what would have been my personal favorite, building forts out of recycled boxes on the playground. All the activities were embedded with learning objectives such as, I'm a developer, I'm a builder, what can I say? All the activities were embedded with learning objectives such as developing skills in early literacy, social connections, imaginations, and fine motor skills. I extend my thanks to Ms. Maricela Nava, our Child Care Center Manager, and her dedicated leadership in caring for the youngest scorpions we have. You may remember, as part of the $2.6 million build out at the iTech Center funded by our Board of Trustees, we built our welding labs to standards set by the American Welding Society Testing Center. Now we have brought on staff qualified as AWS testing evaluator. This has positioned us as the only AWS testing site in the region. I'm pleased to announce that we will host our first cohort of students from the Brownsville Independent School District seeking to earn the national AWS credential. On April 29th and the 30th, BISD will bus 30 to 60 welding students to iTech to take their welding test. Each student who passes the test will earn that national credential that launches them straight into the marketplace. At the same time, we are confident that once they see our facilities, they will want to enroll at TSC. Our welding program will help them expand their skills to include other types of specialty welding, such as MIG and TIG, which allows them to weld aluminum or copper, improving their marketability. Thank you to the board for your continued support in expanding opportunities in our community. And I thank you and a special thank you to Dr. Joel Flashman and Tom Titan for bringing this enterprise to life. Thank you so much. I'm also happy to announce that the first cohort of roofing students from the commercial roofing program in partnership with Schreckerts Tech America, I pronounced it right. That was pretty good. Schreckerts. Graduated on April 16th. The graduation ceremony was held at the iTech Center to celebrate. And 100% of the graduates were hired by the company. They will be moving on to begin their new careers with starting salaries of approximately $18 to $20 per hour as apprentice. I would like to thank our board chairman, Mr. Herrera, and our past chair, Ms. Garza, for joining me at the ceremony and celebrating with these bright and skillful young men and their families. We wish them the best as they begin their exciting new journey in the commercial roofing industry. Also, TSC held its fourth Law Enforcement Career Expo on April 6th, which was the first virtual expo for law enforcement careers. The expo provided students with community members with the opportunity to directly engage with law enforcement officials from the local, state, and federal levels. Participating agencies included the Drug Enforcement Agency, Dallas and Brownsville ISD Police, Texas Department of Public Safety, and the TSC Criminal Justice Institute. This is a wonderful event, is a campus and community-wide initiative that exposes our students to career opportunities in law enforcement. At the same time, it creates awareness about the safety, service, and protection these critical agencies bring to everyday citizens. I would like to thank also the Criminal Justice Program, the Department of Behavioral and Social Sciences, and the Office of Student Life for their great work to continue this event in a virtual format. On another note, the TSC Foundation will host the inaugural TSC Foundation Golf Tournament, also known as the Scorpion Classic, on June 26th at the Rancho Viejo Resort and Country Club. Proceeds from the tournament will fund scholarships for TSC students. Our Director of Foundation and Community Outreach, Mr. David Tomlinson, has been working diligently at solidifying sponsorships throughout the area. The golf tournament will serve to reconnect with our TSC alumni. Mr. Tomlinson has been reaching out and inviting all alumni to sponsor a team or volunteer. The inaugural Scorpion Classic promises to be a great event, and everyone is invited to participate. In your binder, you see a promotional items for this event, and I want to take the marketing department. They did such a nice job with it. TSC art instructor Robert Andes and David Ransom will host the second virtual art show on May 4th. The show will feature approximately 50 student art pieces. The pieces will be displayed online in the virtual art gallery on the TSC website. We look forward to promoting the arts and showcasing our students' talent. Truly looking forward to that event. And next, I'd like to share with you this month's video highlighting the activities that have occurred since we last met. Mr. Morris, can you please run the video?
We thank you for taking the time to join us today, and we promise we're going to have an awesome discussion.
Today we have a great panel of professionals who share stories with you.
I work on scientific experiments in humans. For example, I look at the effect of giving different treatments to people and then figuring out whether or not they work.
I work for Facebook Reality Labs, which are the ones that make Oculus Quest and all the virtual reality devices.
Being involved in the community is something that we find a lot of fulfillment in.
If you find some projects that you might want to volunteer, even if you don't work on it full time, I strongly recommend it.
These particular individuals have had the opportunity to interview hundreds of individuals that are seeking for an opportunity just like you are.
Not only do we want to make students successful with their education, we want to make them successful with their career.
So it is a very good field to look into, but you have to want to do it, you have to like it. That's the main thing.
I'm excited to see that many students are utilizing the chat. Send your questions.
Arrive on time to your interviews. Make sure you're dressed professionally. You dress for success. It's how you portray yourself.
It's always good for the job seeker to do their homework, find out about the organization.
You need to be respectful of everyone that you meet because you never know if they could be your next boss.
Thank you and welcome to our first Latina Empowerment and Leadership Summit.
I'm hopeful that the students attending this summit today will be the Latinas who will lead and inspire TSC community in the years to come.
My girls have had to work 3 times, 4 times harder than my boys. My boys land on their feet all the time. My girls have to struggle. And we We have to change this.
We have to stick together. We have to be able to acknowledge and help each other.
I want you to leave with a desire to be more introspective, a desire and a plan to change up your internal talk. I want you to have an increased and deeper appreciation for you, your family, and your roots. And I want you feeling empowered, right? That's what today is all about.
A lot of you are here as TSC students, but we also have some of our community members that have logged in.
This institute that you are taking classes in works. I am living proof of it. I ended up being an attorney, and I love my job, and I love what I studied at Texas Alamos College.
I am a sergeant in recruiting with Texas Department of Public Safety. I have been with DPS going on 9 years, so the time has flown by.
I'm excited. That's probably been the most crowd I've had on a virtual. Still getting used to recruiting virtually is very different. And we're currently looking to add 100 new officers, so we are definitely hiring.
But I've been here since 2017, and we've graduated over 200 cadets. So most of them are working here in the Rio Grande Valley.
For the criminal justice students on today, thank you so much for coming on. I hope the information was valuable to you.
Thank you so much to everyone for their continued hard work and commitment to our students and the service that we provide to our communities. We're looking forward to ending the semester Scorpion strong as we begin and prepare for commencement and summer enrollment. Mr. Chair, trustees, this concludes my report.
Can I ask a question? Could you clarify? I didn't catch it when you're mentioning the number of students who would graduate. You mentioned dual enrollment students. What was that? Are these students that are high school students?
Yes, receiving their diploma, receiving a high school diploma and an associate's degree.
And how many is that? How many?
Let me go back to mine.
About 100 and...
I mean, it seems almost impossible. I mean, that's a real victory.
It is.
Well, the numbers are
numbers are rising.
You read it. You read that number.
Did I sure did?
I thought it was 200 and something.
I have the numbers here. Commencement.
And you said that those were from the BISD.
From
124 dual enrollment students.
How many?
124.
That's phenomenal.
121 of these students are from the Brownsville Independent School District, 2 from Los Fresnos.
One from Harlingen. I know.
Are we getting any press on that?
We're trying to.
I mean, yeah.
We're running some stories.
So what was the total number? 500 and
500, and I wrote it down. 556 budget.
It represents, the dual enrollment graduates represent a savings of tens of thousands of dollars to the parents.
Correct.
Who are mostly low-income people in our community. We need to let people as widely as we can know about what we're doing.
I think we ran an article a few weeks ago where we said what's cumulative, the savings through all the students that have taken dual credit at TSC. I think it was about $22 million.
There you go.
So, when we first started, I always said we got to get them early, we got to get them often, we got to get them now. So we gravitate to what we know. And through instruction, not only are we offering the Common Core classes, but we're also offering CTE pathways, and that's a retention tool for the ISDs. And we get them exposed to higher education. So upon graduation, some of them are getting an associate's degree, some of them are graduating with or completing 15, 12 hours. So they're getting interested, and hopefully we'll continue to attract them to Texas Southmost College.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And it is 556.
Congratulations.
Yeah, phenomenal.
To staff, faculty, and administration. This is phenomenal.
Mr. President, on the foundation, this is our inaugural golf tournament. I like to challenge my fellow board members to participate and to either join by sponsoring a team or a whole or something, be part of it. I think it's going to be very exciting. I know Ms. Aldred is sponsoring a team. I am. So if anybody can sponsor a team or a whole or something for that.
Can you let us know what the opportunities are for sponsorship?
Yes.
Dr. Zavaleta and I will be riding a little buggy, and we will be doing the water and the
I have
refreshment.
my packet. We saw it at the foundation meeting, but I didn't bring it with me.
My
You got
father
it?
was a golfer out here at Riverview, and I drove the little cart. Of course, he would send me back to the clubhouse to get more beer. Right.
Dr.
Back and
Zavaleta,
forth all day long.
Next item on the agenda.
give me 1 second. Dr.
Item-
Zavaleta, in your packet there the flyers to sponsor.
Yes, I have that. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consideration possible action of the minutes of the following meetings. The following meeting, regular meeting of March 25th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
I move we accept the minutes as read.
There is a motion. Is there a second? There's a second, and there's a motion and a second, and a comment by Mr. De Leon on page number 7. They will. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those go against, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the Student Services Committee. First of all, I would like to ask Madam Chair, do a little history on the purpose of committee meetings and why you didn't invent them, but you instituted them when you became the chair. And we've been working with them for the past 5.5 years, or 4.5 years.
I had some help. With the previous administration, we wanted committees. When Dr. Zavaleta got on the board, he said, "Where are the committees?" And we decided to implement some committees. With working with Mr. Perez, we realized that the committees can only be advisory committees, right? So I know that at one point, Dr. Zavaleta and Mr. Herrera wanted to hold an item, and I said, no, I checked with TA, I checked with Mr. Perez. No committee can hold an item hostage. Everything has to come to the board. The reason for the committees is because this is where your strength is. In that case, you and Mr. Herrera were in the finance committee, and this was your strength, and you scrutinize everything that came to the committee. So when it comes to the board, doesn't mean that we're not going to look at it, but it means that it has gone through somebody else's eyes. And I think that that is the purpose of a committee, to have another set of eyes look at everything that's going to come to the board as a whole.
What is the function of the chair of the committee?
The function of the chair of the committee is just to have a chair, but it's a chair and a co-chair that share the power. I mean, or the advisory power, because really there's no power in chairing a committee other than you can pretty much call when you want to meet. But they're equal. They're equal, chair and co-chair.
And the chair runs the meeting.
And the chair runs
follows the agenda, runs through the agenda.
Yeah.
Follows Robert's Rules of Order.
And the chair of a committee change an item.
What?
No? Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Zavaleta, do you want to present student services?
I'll be happy to. As chair of the Student Services Committee, I issue this report. The Student Services Committee met on April 12th, 2021. Present were Chair Herrera, Ms. Aldrete, President Rodriguez, myself, and members of the administration, legal counsel. We considered the following item. 6A, consideration and possible action on award RFP 21-05 for customer relations management / student success platform. And I have a motion, but I would call upon Mr. Villarreal to enlighten us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Chairman of the committee and the rest of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez. Again, this is a consideration for the selection of an award for the Customer Relationship Management Student Success Platform. And as I told the subcommittee, this has been a long time in the making. Actually, when I first got to the college, there were several major projects in front of us, not the least of which was replacing our IT shop, putting audiovisual equipment in the classroom, getting a new website. Customer relationship management was one of the major projects that was kind of sitting on the table. And thanks to the board, we've got all the other major projects that are either completed or in the works, right? So what is a customer relationship management student success platform? It can be a little complicated. I'm going to advance to the next slide. Just to give you an idea, we've actually been looking at software solutions for managing customer relationships for several years now. In fact, this item has actually been budgeted operationally for the last couple of years. As you can see, this is the timeline. I was the author of the RFP with some assistance from the committee, but we started this in December, did our vendor presentations in January, February, March, and then we come in front of the board now to present. The description of services called for a customer relationship management system, but also a student success platform. And if you'll indulge me, those two descriptions describe the same kinds of solutions, but they're not exactly the same, right? A customer relationship management system is meant to manage the entire life cycle of your customer. So for us, that would be the recruiting of students all the way until they become alumni, right? But student success platforms are there to make sure that your students are successful while they're one of your students, right? So it's more about retention. So as it so happens, it turns out that customer relationship management, generally speaking, has a lot more to do with recruitment, profiling, and bringing the students in, and then student success, retaining. So why not two RFPs? Because these software solutions tend to overlap. And we were hoping that we would find one solution that would actually satisfy all the requirements for recruitment and retention. But as I suspected, we did not. And I wrote one RFP to solicit that. And in the process, we determined that it wasn't going to be possible to probably have one solution that did everything. As you can see, this is just a student life cycle. It's from discovery, and this is from the student perspective, right? Discovering who we are, inquiring, engaging us, applying, enrolling, retaining, graduating, right? It's a whole life cycle. We had a pretty large evaluation committee. The reason the committee was so large is because, and I think this is, we would all agree about this, we're all responsible for recruiting and we're all responsible for attention, right? Armando Ponce from Student Life, Mr. Simon from Advising and Testing, Mrs. Strada from Finance, Mr. Tumlinson, our new Director of Foundation, Ms. Dulce Martinez, Coordinator of Student Recruitment. You can see instruction, IT, institutional research, enrollment and academic support especially, right? All of those areas were involved because they all play a part in recruiting and in retaining our students, right? There were several responses to our RFP. You can see the 6 responses here. VISO, TargetX, EAB, which is Education Advisory Board, Starfish, Hobson, Lucian, and C3. You can see by the scoring that the top two scorers were TargetX and Starfish by Hobson. This was pretty clear, the two leaders. You can see Lucian, who is our managed services company and also makes colleague, did reply. And Dr. Zavaleta asked us about this in subcommittee, but the committee did not regard their solutions as clear best of breed like the other two, right? We went through the normal evaluation criteria that every other RFP goes through here, right? And what we bring before you today is two options that we discussed with subcommittee. The subcommittee decided to bring them both, and our preferred option is option A. After reviewing all of the responses and having two sets of demos with all of the vendors plus then the two finalists, it was determined by the committee that Starfish is the best of breed solution for retention and TargetX is the best of breed solution for recruitment. And while we were having those conversations, and I'm pretty transparent with vendors, I let them know that we were considering both of them, right? And we actually went down that road to determine whether or not they'd ever worked together at other schools to provide a total solution. And the answer is they have. They're very aware of each other. And even though TargetX can do some retention, they're not near the best of breed as Starfish. And while Starfish can do some recruiting, they're nowhere near the best of breed as TargetX, right? So we're recommending that option A be selected so that we would have an estimated first year cost of $211,000 and a recurring cost of about $176,000. If the board decides that they do not want us to proceed with both, then we would prefer to start with recruiting and then we would probably come back to you at some point for retention, right? I do want to point out though on the, oops, sorry. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, sorry. Okay. The $176,000 would be the recurring cost for subsequent years. I want to point out that, for example, if we chose a Lucian, we'd be paying $167,000 for their solution all by itself, right? Again, if you decide to recommend only option B for TargetX, that would be $92,400 in the first year, $57,000 in every recurring year. And that
what is your recommendation to the board?
My recommendation is we proceed with option A.
With option A.
Yes.
But for the sake of transparency, I think I should read for the record both options A and B. Okay, you agree? Okay, so I'm not making a motion yet, but I want to read option A to award RFP 21-05 to customer relationship management / student service platform to the two highest ranked respondents, EAB Global Incorporated, formerly known as Starfish by Hobson Incorporated, and TargetX for $211,495 for 1 year with an optional subscription rate in subsequent years of $176,845, and authorize President Rodriguez to negotiate contracts as presented, if that's the motion. This option B is to award RFP 2105 for customer relations management / student success platform to TargetX for $92,400 for 1 year with an optional subscription rate in subsequent years of $57,750, and authorize President Rodriguez to negotiate the contract if we go that direction. Staff recommends option A, and I move, therefore, that we adopt option A as I just read it.
Dr. Zavaleta, can I make one point that I failed to make that Dr. Figueroa reminded us? I'd like to clarify one thing in that option. During the process of the RFP solicitation and response, EAB Global, that was one of the respondents, and you would have noticed we didn't select, has acquired Hobson's, right? So even EAB acknowledges that Hobson's is the best of breed for retention. So I just wanted to point that out. We will actually be negotiating with EAB Global, and we had that discussion with them because it literally happened about 4 days before we had our second demo.
There is a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Now, is there any discussion? And I have a question.
Me too. Go ahead.
We remember that Dr. Zavaleta asked if there was any relationship between the Starfish and
Ellucian.
Ellucian. Right.
There is
and
not.
Someone bought someone off.
Yes, it was EAB Global bought Starfish by Hopsy.
And
But that's not Ellucian.
the one that was bought had a slightly lower rate.
Right. So during the subcommittee, Mr. Herrera asked us whether or not we would possibly negotiate with EAB a lower rate because their product costs less than the one they just acquired. And we will negotiate with them, for sure.
Mr. Leon?
So here's my question. So you mentioned that Illusion also offers some kind of software. So is this software compatible or it stands on its own,
Yeah, there are application interfaces between both TargetX and Starfish for Colleague.
Okay. And then my second question is, so with the retention and all that data that this software is going to provide, how and who will manage that data? And will the board be informed of how, it comes about because of the cost? Would you all
yes,
inform us, how many students are being retained, how many students are being promoted, and
Yes.
all that data?
Yeah, one of the advantages of both platforms is that they can provide data analytics on the performance. And quite frankly, there should be a return on investment, right? So we should be showing that they should pay for themselves in a matter of a year or two. Right. So yes, the answer is yes, we will do so.
So
We
I
will
just
do so.
want, for the record,
For the record.
data will be presented to us eventually to the
Yeah.
board.
Yes.
Because now I'm going to start writing down some of this information that I request. So as a board, we're informed of what we're actually approving.
And Mr. De Leon, if I may, these will take somewhere between probably about 9 months to roll out.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
That's right. Thank you.
We have further discussion. Have it.
You will be reporting to us about this?
I will be reporting to you about this.
Thank you.
If Dr. Zavaleta and Mr. Herrera are okay with the cost, I guess we all are.
There's a motion on the table. There is a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let me, Mr. Chairman, let me make a comment, a brief comment. I don't know why you asked the question you did earlier, but when Chair Garza asked me, and as a new board member with you when we came on together, I brought up this issue of subcommittees.
Let me finish with the vote and then we can.
Oh,
go on.
of course.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay,
Thank
I
you.
was saying, and I developed there was never any intention to try and be heavy-handed with one item versus another. I was following the model that I knew of the Texas legislature so well, and Dr. Rodriguez knows, because if you don't get through a committee, you're done, you're dead, your bill is dead. And so that's what I thought I had in my mind, but I know now that it doesn't work that way.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Next item is item number 7, the academic committee. I will call on Mr. De Leon to present the item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Academic Committee met on Tuesday, April 13, 2021. Present were President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and college legal counsel. The committee discussed the following item: Emerging Technology Entrepreneur Program. And I will call under Dr. Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Instruction, and Dr. Flashman, Associate Vice President of Workforce Development, to present the item.
Chairman Herrera, TSC Board of Trustees, and President Rodriguez, I'd like to call on Dr. Fleischman to present this informational item regarding the Emergency Technology Entrepreneur Program, with your permission. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to talk to you about the newest program Workforce Training and Continuing Education will bring to Texas Southmost College, our Emerging Technologies Entrepreneurial Program. This program is in response to the technology companies that are moving to Texas from various states. I'm sure we've all heard of the drain coming from the Silicon Valley. Certainly on the presentation, you'll notice a number of companies that are headed this way. You'll also notice that as we become more dependent on technologies, a number of industries are requiring individuals with great IT skills. The hospital, the healthcare industry has gone totally digital. The financial sector certainly uses it. Even the hospitality section, every time you go into a store and you give them a phone number or your email or you use a card, that data is being tracked. So just about every industry is using IT, and there's a need for individuals who can help leverage and harness that data. In response to the growth of an emerging IT sector, San Jose Community College saw a trend before we did, and they developed a program called the Emerging Technology Entrepreneurial Program, and they developed a system of 4 classes: Python programming, data science, the Internet of Things, and entrepreneurship for a small business. What Python programming does is it allows individuals to leverage a wide variety of databases. Data science teaches you how to analyze that data and harness it. The Internet of Things tells you how everything works together. You have a cell phone that connects to Google, that connects to Amazon. How does all that work? And making it function. And finally, what if you were an individual who wanted to come to college and you were entrepreneurial in nature and wanted to open up your own IT data company to do this? So they developed this program. Dr. Kyle saw this program before COVID. I reached out to the young lady who manages this, Dr. Lena Tran, and asked her if she would be willing to partner with Texas Southmost College in sharing this curriculum. She said yes. I want to be very clear on this. We were the first college in the United States that reached out to an industry leader, and they're partnering with us. Now, San Jose City College, even though they're located in the heart of the Silicon Valley, realized they wanted to have the program make it as sexy as they possibly could. So they reached out to 2 additional partners, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and UC Berkeley. Consequently, in their relationship, MIT developed a Python program that is a part of this curriculum. UC Berkeley developed a 48-hour class for data science, and that content is a part of this curriculum. And San Jose City College developed 2 classes, the Internet of Things and the Entrepreneurship for Small Businesses. Now, you'll notice in this slide, what we did is now that we have this partnership working, I took this information and I submitted it to the U.S. Department of Labor. And last week we were notified by DOL that this program has been an approved registered apprenticeship program. It's the newest program at the college. So once we develop relationships with businesses that want to hire our students and pay for their training, our students should be able to exit this program with 2,000 hours of OJT and the credential, the skill sets to enter the IT world as both entry-level programmers or analysts. We have to develop that relationship yet. This is still a long-term vision. We are opening up this program as an open enrollment environment. Students will initially take 3 classes, Python programming, data science, and IoT. That will prepare them to enter the IT workforce. Not just here, but even at a distance, because we know distance education, distance workers are needed. Now, the Python programming is 48 hours, data science is 48. You'll notice that each class is priced at $475. The first class is scheduled to start, Python programming, June 7th. There's a very important distinction I would like to bring to your attention. This is a very fluid discussion. So now that it's been approved, now that we know what's happening, we have the faculty, we're working with the curriculum, we're getting ready to launch this class. Now we wish to market this program. So I reached out to both MIT and I reached out to UC Berkeley and I asked them a simple question. How can we market our relationship? And I would like to share with you specifically the content that I received from MIT. This is Dana Doyle. She is the director of the MIT program. She stated, you can't say this is a partnership and you can't use the MIT logo. What you can say is you're using content from MIT X. UC Berkeley is taking very much the same position. However, I will finish my conversation with them. I've been notified by UC Berkeley that they'll send me some blurbage later this week that we can use to let our communities know that this content is originating from MIT or the content is originating from UC Berkeley, but they urge us not to state it as a partnership or collaboration. This program is coming soon. And I wish to, at this point, if there are any questions, I would do my best to answer them.
When you showed the slide with the hours, I'm assuming those are contact hours?
Yes, sir.
Semester credit hours?
Contact hours.
I have a comment. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one more comment before I move on. When this information was brought up to the committee, I did think a little bit outside. So I just want to let you know the technology advancement that he's talking about is phenomenal. And so I referred them a question in regards to the infrastructure of the technology that TSC has right now. From where it was a few years ago to now, we've improved a lot, but we are still moving forward with the technology advancements. We still need a lot of that in this community college. So that also will play a role in further as far as some of the IT courses and, where we move forward, that we also need to fix our infrastructure in technology at TSC. This item was just for information purpose only, and so no action is required. I'll move on to the item 7B, consideration and possible action to approve a clinical affiliation agreement with Sunshine Heaven in Olmito, Texas, for the associate degree nursing and vocational nursing programs. I'll call on Dr. Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Instruction, and Dr. David Peer, Dean of Health Profession, to present the item.
Chairman Herrera, TSC Board of Trustees, and President Rodriguez. I am here today to ask for your consideration and possible action to approve a clinical affiliation agreement with Sunshine Haven and Olmito for our ADN and vocational nursing program. And I'm happy to say that we have the director here with us, Ms. Veronica Lucio, who would like to say a few words.
Welcome, Ms. Lucio.
Thank you, Dr. Fuentes. We graduated together, class of 1998, Hannah High School, and I'm just incredibly proud of her and what she does here. I want to speak to you on a personal level first. I was a student here at TSC after 20 years on the mission field. I was a field missionary who would take medical students and doctors to serve underprivileged areas. When I returned to school here in 2016, fall of 2016, I decided, hey, I need to finish my education. My parents have wanted me to go back, and I had told them that Jesus had called me somewhere else for long enough. And so this ties into the work, the sacred work that we do at Sunshine Haven. I finished my last final exam on December 15th, I believe, or 14th of 2018 here at TSC for the semester, and then traveled up to Austin for a brain MRI to track another condition that I have. And instead of an advancement of the condition, I found that I had a malignant brain tumor. And so I went through brain cancer treatment, went through surgery at Houston Methodist, and then went on to MD Anderson for proton therapy, and returned here to the Valley for my chemotherapy. And while going through chemotherapy, of course, my education was placed on hold that spring. My doctor, Dr. Schenkenberg, encouraged me to start getting into some positive work, even though I couldn't work physically. So I called Jack White at Good Neighbor Settlement House and said, Jack, I heard from him through my I met Jack through our social services class here, social working class here at TSC. He brought me out and said, where are you with your education? And I said, well, they already started the spring semester. We're 2 weeks in. And he says, no, no. And I said, no, I just can't do that. No, you need to get back to your education. He called Dr. Tony Zavaleta, Dr. Zavaleta on the phone. He had said, get in my car with me. And there I am following Jack White into his vehicle. And Dr. Zavaleta said, go straight to the president's office. Went to the president's office. And within 2 hours, I was enrolled part-time. Then God only knew he would place me at Sunshine Haven. We are a 20-year-old nonprofit organization that was founded by Lois Del Castillo. She was the first registered nurse of Brownsville. And her husband, Dr. Jose Castillo, Joe Castillo, was a pharmacist. Sunshine Haven was founded through faith and started with 3 rooms, and we're now at 8 rooms. And we provide free hospice care to residents of Cameron County. And I would like for you to really consider and allow for your students, your nursing students, to come to our facility. Death and the topic of death and hospice are chilling for anybody. But particularly in our culture, there's a fear and a myth that if you speak of it, you invite it. And it's going to happen. And so Sunshine Haven's working actively with UT School of Public Health to form a curriculum and be able to talk to the community both in a bilingual curriculum and reach out to them to start talking about advanced planning, quality of life decisions, all of the things that are needed desperately. But for the students, I really would love to have them at our facility because as a hospice, they would be able to experience the values of hospice at our nonprofit. We're not a for-profit organization. While I do worry about the numbers, we do not worry about the numbers, if that makes sense. We take our time with our residents. We sit with them. We hold hands with them. We listen to everything that the family has. And so we want to inspire more young emerging health professionals into hospice care. And I think it's so vital that these students, especially from the Valley, have that opportunity to experience that clinical bedside manner that we provide with our caregivers and also with our families. So thank you for your attention and for the opportunity to be able to do this with you.
Thank you so much. Please stay on the podium just a little bit.
If I may.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't do your research. It wasn't Dr. Del Castillo. It was Joe Del Castillo. He was just a pharmacist.
I'm sorry. I said Dr. Joe yes.
Mr. Del Castillo worked for my husband.
Yes, I know. Georgia Levo told me.
For a long time until we closed. But I was there at the beginning.
Yes. Yes.
It was a struggle to get it started. And
yes.
I know that my husband cooperated a lot.
Yes.
But at the beginning, and I'm very proud of what it's become.
Yes. So, thank you.
I'm glad to be in this position.
Thank you so much. Lois was a dear mentor of mine. I was in her Bible study for about 10 years as I went off to the mission field. And George E. Olivo, our board president, told me to tell you hello. I was going to tell you afterwards. And on behalf of the board, they apologized for not being present, but I wanted to come and you hear and see me directly. So
please stay on the podium.
Question, may I have your name again?
Veronica Lucio.
Thank you.
Mr. Leon, do you have a motion?
Recommendation. A motion to approve the clinical affiliation agreement with Sunshine Haven in Olmito, Texas, for the associate degree nursing and vocational nursing program, and authorize the President Rodriguez to sign the agreement.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? There's a second on the floor. Any discussion?
I also think it's very important because I went through this with my husband that some of the students see that side. We don't always have a good experience, and I think they need to be taught that these people that are dying and that are so sick were somebody at some point. Yes. And I don't think there is enough places to learn that or to live that. So I think it's be good training for the students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for sharing your story. I've had acquaintances and friends who have been in the service that you do. And I mean, I commend you on that. Thank you so much.
There's a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Lucio, I want to invite you to help us organize
a TSC Alumni Association. The passion you bring to this, I'm very, very confident that you can help us. And we're starting this. Ms. Dr. Fuentes will give you a name of someone to get a hold of, and they will get a hold of you and help us with this. I love the passion that you bring to your job, and you are a Scorpion, and we need Scorpions like you.
Well, I would be honored. I just need to finish my education here. All I'm lacking is my math and my sciences. I stepped out of my work so that I could totally focus on the work at Sunshine Haven and contextualize our work and understand and budgets and all of the things at a much smaller scale than what you do. But I would be honored if that would be okay. I'm not an alumni yet, but I would like to be.
Thank you so much.
And I'll be in touch with Dr. Rodriguez.
Moving to item 7C, consideration and possible action to approve a cooperative affiliation agreement with Valley Day and Night Clinic in Brownsville, Texas for the medical office management program. I call on Dr. Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Instruction, and Dr. Busalin, Dean of STEAM, to present the item.
Good afternoon again. I'm here for consideration and possible action to approve a cooperative affiliation agreement with Valley Day and Night Clinic in Brownsville, Texas for our medical office management program. The affiliation agreement has been reviewed and approved by legal. I'm here to answer any questions as well as Dr. Abu Salim.
I make a motion to approve a cooperative affiliation agreement with Valley Day and Night Clinic in Brownsville, Texas for the medical office management program and authorize President Rodriguez to sign the agreement.
Okay. There's a motion, a second, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Moving on to 7D, consideration and possible action on approval of matching in-kind support for Jubilee Academies, gaining early awareness and readiness for undergrad programs, Gear Up Grant. I will call on Dr. Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Instruction, to present the item.
Yes, thank you. I'm here again for consideration and possible action on approval of matching in-kind support for Jubilee Academies for their Gear Up grant that they plan to submit a proposal this month. For Gear Up, anytime you have a partnership, you have to match in kinds. And they are proposing a $55,000 match for their academy. It'd be a cohort of 200 students that start in 7th grade next year. And we would take them all the way through their first year of college, hopefully with us at TSC. They're in kind. With the in-kind, we would support some summer camps that we would bring the 200 students to our campus for summer camps. In addition, we'll continue doing FAFSA night, financial literacy night, career exploration night, and all the other activities we do for Jubilee throughout the year. I'm here if you have any questions.
Where are they located?
In Brownsville. And you're going to ask what street?
In Korea?
No, isn't it on Pablo Quisel?
Pablo Quisel.
And
Dana.
Alton.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the allocation of matching in-kind support in the amount of $55,600 per year for 2022 through 2029, contingent of the Jubilee Academy notice of grant award for Gear Up.
I have a question. It's perfect. There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I think Mr. Zavaleta.
Yeah, second. Dr. Zavaleta, second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Hang on.
I move to the next item, 7E, consideration and possible action on approval of matching in-kind support for Region 1 Educational Services Center, gaining early awareness and readiness for undergrad program, Gear Up Grant. I call on Dr. Fuentes again.
Yes, again, this is in support of Region 1's proposal for Gear Up. They too would like to partner with us, but their request is a little different. Their in-kind is for the office space that we have provided for them since 2013 in Lightner. And that's when their Region 1 staff member uses that office space to bring students to our campus. So their in-kind is a little different.
Everybody wants to be our partner.
Yes.
We're sexy. Okay, that's
Sexy.
I mean,
Mr. Leon?
I'll make a motion to approve the allocation of matching in-kind support in the amount of $5,156 per year from 2022 to 2029, contingent of the Region 1 notice of grant award from Gear Up.
There's a motion by Mr. De Leon.
I'll second.
There's a second by Ms. Garza. Any discussion?
Anytime I hear Gear Up, it just brings back memories when my kids were going to high school. That's when it all started, and it was an amazing program.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon.
I'll call on Ms. Garza to present item number 8, the Finance Committee.
Our Finance Committee met on Wednesday, April the 14th. Present was Mrs. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, and myself, members of the TSC Administration and the College Legal Counsel. The committee discussed the following items. A monthly statement report for the month ending February 28, 2021, and I'll call on Mr. Pesero, Controller, to present the item. Good to see you, Mr. Pesero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, good afternoon. I'll be presenting the monthly financial report. I'll quickly move on to the first page of the report. It's in a similar format as we have presented before. This covers the period of February 1st through February 28th of 2021. As we have previously done, there are 3 funds that we report budget to actual activity for. The first fund that I'll begin with is the Education and General Fund. And we structured this report in a similar format where we have revenues presented first, followed by expenditures. And I'll begin here with revenues for the month of February. At the bottom of the page, $2,122,629. The cursor got in the way there for a little bit. So moving on to the second page, for the month of February is the subtotal for the first expenditure category within general fund, which is the salaries and wages, which we have here on the page, $1,228,633. That's the subtotal for the month of February. If you don't mind, Madam Chair, I'm going to refer to my written report. I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing the numbers up there, so I'm going to read off of here. The glasses aren't as great as they used to be, right? So,
Ya ni con lentes.
yeah, ni con lentes, sí. All right, so moving on very quickly. In the middle of the page, we have a subtotal for benefit expenditures, and that is that number right there, $372,779. That is a subtotal for benefits. The next category in general fund is our M&O category, and that category starts on this slide. It continues through the next slide and has a subtotal on this concluding slide here. In the middle of the page, we have a subtotal for the M&O, which is $560,591. That's subtotal for February. We have a credit refund for travel activity that you can see here at the bottom of the page, $328. If we move on to the next page, we have the general institutional category. And towards the top of the page, we have a subtotal for the month of February of $136,171. There's the other category, which we have a small credit for $700, followed by towards the bottom of the page, are a subtotal for the budget amendments category, which that has expenditures of $278,795. So if we look at total expenditures for general fund, we can see that subtotal right here at the bottom of the page. That is $2,575,940. So those are the numbers for general fund, which is the first of the three funds. Moving on to the next slide, we have our auxiliary fund. And same format, we're going to start with revenue, then followed by expenditures. So in the middle of the page, we have our subtotal for revenue. In the auxiliary fund, $49,918. Move on to the next slide, where expenditures begin. At the top of the page, we have a subtotal for salaries and wages. That is $68,945. We have a subtotal for benefits with no activity in this month. We follow that category with our M&O, which is starting in the middle of the page, and it concludes on the following page. Subtotal for the month, $18,980. And we have a total expenditures number, $87,924. And that is all the expenditures for the auxiliary fund. Moving on to our last fund that we're going to cover is our general obligation and revenue bonds. We have revenues at the top of the page. We have expenditures at the bottom of the page. So I'll very briefly touch on those numbers. Revenue, $503,433, which is right here at the top. And then we have a subtotal for expenditures of $5,003,513, excuse me. Our bond payments are made February and August. So this is one of the months where we see activity in this fund category. And as you can see there, we made our debt service and interest payments of the month of February. That concludes the budget and actual category of this report. We'll move on to the fund balance slide, where we can see here at the bottom of the slide what our current fund balance number is, $34,086,248. There has been no change to this slide since the last time we presented it. We have our health benefits detail following that slide on the fund balance. We have two subtotals on this slide, one for general fund, one for auxiliary, and the subtotals respectively are $1,152,079 and $74,079.
I heard our fund balance is 34 million. I thought we were in the 40s.
Correct, sir. We update that number once a year as we close our excess revenue over expenditures for the year. So you'll see that number only change once a year when we present our audited financial statements. So when we presented the audited financial statements, we had a fund balance number of close to 40,000. This is a more representative number where we are right now, sir. The board asked us to present that number and estimate it as closely as we could, and we're doing that for you here, sir.
Well, what is, for practical purposes, how much money do we have in the bank?
I'm going to move on. That's actually one of the agenda items that I'll also be presenting with your permission, sir. That's my next report. If you like, I may try and answer. Perfect. All right, sir. Last category in this report. This is our debt service payment tables. We have one table for each of the bond issuances that we have. They detail principal and interest that is on each one. There's no change on these slides from the last time that we presented these to the board. And with that, I conclude my report on the budget to action. If there are any questions, I'd like to try and answer them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Item AB, second quarter investment report for fiscal year 2021. Mr. Pesero, will you present the item as well?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, we have for you the second quarter investment report that we are presenting for you. We have this, just like the budget to actual that we just looked at, This report is in a similar format as we have presented before. We have, I'm going to concentrate most of my presentation on this first page of the report. There are 5 pages in the report, but there is a very useful summary that we have here at the top of the report. And so that summarizes the first quarter that we presented prior to this and the second quarter, which we are presenting today for you. Those numbers, as I mentioned, they're a summary of the detail that's within this page and pages 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'd like to just give a brief overview of the format of the report before I very briefly touch on the numbers. As you can see here on the first page, along the left side, we have a description of the type of the instrument that we're reporting on, whether it's cash and bank or a certificate of deposit or a short-term investment. That's described here along the left. We have 4 columns of numbers, which can be seen here. Those 4 columns represent the summary data that's up at the top. There's 2 columns for the first quarter, followed by another 2 columns that represent the second quarter. And the final column that I'll touch on is the interest earned, which can be found on the last column here of the report. That format follows through the end and is all summarized up here as I had mentioned before. So very briefly, I'll go through those numbers. The current funds, which is the first subtotal that we have up here at the top, $63,377,882. And that, Mr. Chairman, is very indicative of what we can compare to our unrestricted fund balance. These are money in the bank or money in a certificate of deposit or money in a short-term investment that is not hindered by any type of restriction. So that is the best indicator that I can point to, sir.
68 million?
68 million, sir. Yes. So if we move on to the other subtotals that we can see here, the other 4 subtotals are made up of the loan fund category, the endowment and similar funds, plant funds, and agency funds. So in total, if we look at that subtotal, it's $86,347,648. And for the quarter, Mr. Chairman, we made $47,649 in interest. With that, I'll conclude my report on the investments. Yes, sir.
Give me 1 second.
Yes.
Mr. Becerro.
Yes, ma'am.
When we talked about, when you presented this at the committee meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
What was, I don't remember Mrs. Alejandro's question on the, do you remember which question? Do you remember Miss Figueroa?
Dr. Figueroa.
I can't remember what she questioned and I wanted to talk about it, but I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
It wasn't the balance, it was I think it was the interest or the investment.
We did touch on the Public Fund Investment Act, which is basically what allows us to do the different investments. That's what I remember from that meeting. And that we had to present this. We also spoke about that we use a similar format that is used in different colleges because that's what's required of us to present to the board. One additional clarification I wanted to make, Mr. Herrera. Mr. Pesero did mention that our current funds is $68 million that we have in the bank, and that is correct. That is what we have in the bank, but not all of it is unrestricted fund balance. Part of it is our operational funds, which we're living within our budget this year. So as the board, you set up our budget every year, and you tell us you have this much to spend. Part of it, it's in the past few years, as far as I can tell from what I've been here, we've been putting in the budget what we project to bring in revenue. Sometimes we bring additional revenue and that goes into the unrestricted fund balance, as well as sometimes you as the board allows us to spend some of that unrestricted funds from the fund balance. So the 68 million, it's a combination of both.
Thank you.
I'm very happy. Very happy because Last I thought we were in the mid-40s because we'd spend on furniture and other things. And we started with 50-some million, and we spent a whole bunch, and now we're at 68. How did we get there? That's a question. I mean, or did I get it wrong at the beginning?
You got it wrong at the beginning.
I'm sure Dr. Friedel will wait and reject, but there is a distinction between fund balance and cash and bank.
Spend the money is because we had the money to buy the furniture.
No, that was not the question. The question is, how do we end up with 68 million?
Well, there is a distinction between fund balance and cash in the bank. So as I mentioned, this total amount of money is what's in the bank for the college. Real money that it's either on a CD or in a bank account. Some of it is unrestricted, which is the 34 million that Mr. Pacero mentioned on the prior report. The rest of it is what we have in our budget for operational expenses that we're doing this year. At the end of the year, if we bring $100 of revenue and you only allowed us to spend 80 in the budget at the beginning of the year, those 20 extra dollars go back to that unrestricted fund balance unless you authorize us to use it. So it's a combination. It's not all unrestricted savings that you're seeing here.
But none of those dollars are counted twice, is that correct?
That is correct, sir. None of them are counted twice. As a matter of fact, as Mr. Pacero mentioned, from page 1 through 5, there's the line item description where exactly the money is at, the name of the bank and the instrument, as well as the interest rate that it's earning.
It's in your packet. Right there. And that was just for information, right?
Correct. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you for the good news.
8C, update on grants awarded to Texas Southmost College for the month of March 2021. And I'll call on beautiful Dr.
Oh, make sure the recording was on for that. I am here to report Chairman Herrera, TSC Board of Trustees, and President Rodriguez. I'm here to report on grant activity for the month of March. As you remember, last month, we reported on the additional funds for the CARES Act. Well, Dr. Figueroa asked for, and we were granted an extension to expend the funds. So that's good. It gives us more time. In addition, we received $100,000 from Texas Workforce Commission to deliver summer camps from the Governor's Summer Merit Program. That would be with Dr. Abu Salim and the STEM division. And last, we received a little over $31,000 from Corporation for National Community Service, which is the VISA program, and that will help pay for some time and efforts of some of our employees that support those grant activities. I'm here if you have any questions. To May, it's the second, May 6, 2022.
And this is for information only as well. Okay, let's move on to 8D, consideration and possible action on approval of medical simulation mannequin purchased from CAE Healthcare Inc. And I'll call on you, Dr. Fuentes.
Thank you. I'm here.
Words, Dr. Fuentes.
I'm sorry?
Magic words.
Magic words? CARES Act. Yes. I would like to preface all my presentations by saying that these are all supported by the CARES Act that we received from the federal government. I have here Dr. Pierce and our Associate Degree Nursing Program Director, Ms. Kasprison, here if you have any questions. This is for approval of the medical simulation mannequin purchase from CAE Healthcare, which is similar to the purchases that we made. In fact, the same procurement process that we made last month.
The one with the baby.
Yes. So this one has a baby, but you can also remove the baby, and it can be a regular patient. It is a high fidelity mannequin. If I remind you, T-Bond will allow us to use high fidelity mannequins for clinical fulfillment for a portion of their clinical hours.
And this is an action item.
Yes.
So I'm going to make a motion that we accept, where is my, to approve the purchase of medical simulation mannequin in the amount of $99,000 from CAE Healthcare Inc. through sole source purchase, I'm sorry. 99,903, is that what through sole source purchasing method and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contracts as presented.
There is a motion on the table. There is a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Nobody opposed the baby.
Hey,
Nobody opposed.
magic words.
Consideration and possible action on approval of furniture purchased by nursing program from Kruger International. I call on Dr. Angelica Fuentes.
Yes.
We don't need your input, Mr. Herrera.
I would also like to preface this one by saying it is also supported from the CARES Act. This is also for the nursing program. It's furniture and it will allow us to be mobile in the classroom so we can turn a traditional classroom into a patient care hospital room or a clinic. I have the nursing program director and dean here. We have any questions?
How many items are we purchasing? Does it specify here or no?
It's for, you know what?
So one of each or?
Yeah, it's right here. It's a combination of tables and chairs and podiums, all mobile on wheels.
But we don't have an amount? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is an action item?
That is an action item. I'll make my motion if you give me an opportunity. I'm ready. You done?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve furniture purchase for nursing program in the amount of $40,626 from Kruger International Inc., KI through Amina Partners Contract R180402 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
Madam Chair, would you repeat the R180402, please? Clarify.
R180402.
Thank you. There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion, a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
8F, consideration and possible action on approval of self-service laptop dispensing kiosk purchased from Java Connections, LLC, DBA Laptops Anytime. And I'll call on Dr. Angelica Fuentes to present the item.
Yes, to present this item that is also supported by our CARES Act. This is in support of our digital library. It is we're here to ask for approval to purchase a self-service laptop dispensing kiosk in the amount of $56,443 through the sole source justification clause. It is a kiosk that will recharge any laptop that a student would have or that we will order laptops that go with this. It automatically recharges, cleans, sends out messages, cooks. Just kidding. Automatically, what it does, it helps free up our staff so our librarian can address instructional issues as opposed to standing there saying, can I see your ID? Can I check it out? And so forth. We want to try with one, see how it works, see the needs of our students that also help them to be mobile around campus if they need a laptop so they're not tethered to the digital library. They can move around if needed.
So how does it work? How would they actually receive one?
So it is like a vending machine. We order the laptops, come with the machine as you see on the screen. The student would use their ID, which in the future we are moving towards, what do we call that? A one card barcode.
Yeah.
They will use it to dispense the laptop. I'm sorry. Continue. You want to?
No, I was just going to step in. So the laptops are purchased separately, right? You can have multiple kinds of devices checked out through the same kiosk. But part of the approval, I think last month for laptop purchases included the laptops for this kiosk, right? So again, the intention is to use an ID card, which is part of our security project that you also approved for the IP cameras and mag locks and all that good stuff, to get a new ID card that will allow students to self-check out the laptops, right?
And what happens if one of them just runs with the laptop?
Well,
We can find it.
there's going to be a radio frequency and things like that inside the laptop so we can locate it. But also, I think they won't be able to recharge it unless they purchase their own chargers, right? Because we're not going to provide them a power cord. So it'll have a sustained charge of about 8 hours.
And we
or
can
something
also
like
shut it down. Also, it will hold in our ILS like a book, like you check out a book. It will be in the system and we will know if they did not return it. And the laptops are being purchased with this, just to clarify what you said.
Will a student be able to charge their personal laptops on it?
For the purposes of this one, we're purchasing the laptop. So it's a student to be able to check it out. We do have charging stations though, all over campus now for the students who have their own device that want to charge. This would be strictly for the laptops that they are borrowing.
And where would it be located?
In the digital library in set B, first floor.
How many laptops are we talking about?
I believe it's 25.
Like I make a motion to approve the purchase of self-serving laptop dispensing kiosk in the amount of $56,443 from Java Connections LLC DBA Laptops Anytime through sole source purchasing method, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor by Ms. Garza. Is there a second? There's a second by Dr. Zabaleta. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
8G, consideration and possible action on approval of medical simulation mannequins purchased by Gaumard Scientific Company, Inc. And I'll call on Dr. Fuentes to present the item.
Yes, thank you. I am here again to present an item that too will also be supported by the CARES Act. We here at TSC love mannequins, so we're going to purchase more for our EMS program. And I have Mr. Nelson and Dr. Pierce to answer any questions. It's the approval of 2 medical simulation mannequins. And again, these mannequins can be used in different scenarios in our simulation lab as well as in the lab in the different classrooms.
I think it's excellent training because mothers don't want to give up their babies to be experimented on. So mannequins work rather well. Any questions? No? So I make a motion.
Second.
Wait, let me finish the motion.
Wants to be Dr. Zabaleta to the front.
To approve the purchase of 2 medical simulations mannequins in the amount of $126,125 from Gomart Scientific Inc. through Choice Partners Contract 20-015SG, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's an item, any discussion? There's an item on the floor. There's a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. De Leon. Any discussion?
There's a motion, not an item.
There's a motion.
And
I apologize, Madam Chair.
Just for the record.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
8H, consideration and possible action on approval of tetherless mannequin purchased from, I don't know how to pronounce that, Laredale?
Yes.
Medical Corporation. And I'll ask on beautiful Dr.
Thank you. Yes, we're here to ask for approval to be supported by the CARES Act for $39,017. Now that we have babies, now we have mommies, we need babies. And so this would purchase mannequins for that. Tetherless means that's wireless. So they can work, the students can work on the mannequins while the instructor is far away and follow social distancing.
And where are we getting money for this?
The CARES Act. I'm so glad you asked because I have an answer for that. The CARES Act. Thank you.
Chair?
Let me ask you a question if I may.
Yes.
It says with software features, does that mean that the student is able to determine the blood pressure and other vital signs?
Yes, sir. One of the advantages to all of these mannequins we've asked for is the technology's come a long way over the last several years. So they have a palpable blood pressure, they have a palpable pulse. When we give them medications, we'll use simulated medications, they respond appropriately to the medication that we would give. So really the advantage to this is that we can update it for the software piece so that we can keep it as up to date as we need to. One of the things we're about to talk about it here in a minute, the American Heart Association makes recommendations every 5 years on new processes for CPR or for ACLS, for advanced cardiac life support. And the software piece in this means it's really easy to update these so that they're responding appropriately based on the latest science.
So, for example, if you were teaching on a particular day, you're teaching about babies in distress, you could program this to have the vital signs be in distress.
That's correct. And this one, one of the advantages to this particular unit is when they're in distress, in real life, babies turn blue. This one will. So it gets blue around the face and a little bit around the chest. So it really jumps out at our, that sign or symptom jumps out for our students to recognize. Thank you.
Cool. I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of fiberglass mannequin in the amount of $39,017 from Laredo Medical Corporation through by board contract 610-20 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented. That's my motion.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Ms. Sines. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.
8I, consideration and possible action on award RFP 21-13 for mechanical CPR compression device. Dr. Fuentes?
Yes, I am here to ask for approval to purchase CPR compression device for $52,719. And you're probably wondering, where is this money coming from? And I'm going to tell you, the CARES Act. This one, we did go through the procurement process. That's the RFP timeline. Next slide is, and I should be doing this. Thank you so much for doing it for me. Is the scope of work. I have Mr. Nelson here. If anyone has any questions, it is to help with CPR. Okay.
So is it a defibrillator or?
I'm sorry?
Is it a defibrillator? Is it the monitor we're purchasing or?
It's actually two things. I'm going to skip ahead one slide here. What you're looking at are a couple of things on this slide. So on the left is a LifePak 15. This is the monitor being used by our local fire department and some of the local EMS services that our students are being employed by. On the right is a Lucas 3 device. This is a mechanical CPR device whose really the whole job of this device is to provide high quality CPR. Again, this is a device that's used by our local affiliate partners and the folks that hire our students to offer that continuous high quality CPR. We're seeing really good results again from the science that we're seeing people surviving at a higher rate with this compression device than with just manual CPR.
Nice.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'll make my motion to award RFP 21-13, for mechanical CPR compression device to Stryker Sales LLC in the amount of $52,719 and authorize President Rodriguez to exercise the purchase order contracts as presented. That's my motion.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
There's a second by Dr. Zavaleta. All those any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
We're not going to oppose to the defibrillator just in case we need it, right?
Well, I mean, the problem is it's going to be far away. We were to fall here.
No, it would be here in a second. I guarantee you.
Ask Mr.
8J, consideration and possible action on award RFP 21-14 for diagnostic ultrasound systems for training. Fuentes?
Yes, here is
You're
mine.
on a roll here.
I'm on a roll here. CARES Act. When I say CARES Act, you say yay. So CARES Act.
Yay.
Yeah, she followed. To award RFP 2114 for diagnostic ultrasound system training. I have Dr. Ariel Villanueva, the program director for our diagnostic medical sonography program, and Dr. Pierce here to answer any questions for this sonography machine. We went through the procurement process. There you go. There's the timeline, the RFP timeline, and the next slide is the scope of work. And Dr. V is here if you have any questions about the scope of work or what exactly this machine does. If you want to go to the next slide, the equipment, I know I should be doing that. Dr. V?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Want to explain the equipment?
Yes, okay. We're seeking the approval of that machine that you can see right there. It's a state-of-the-art ultrasound unit that has 4 different type of probes that give the students an opportunity to do all type of exams on a human being, such as doing breast exams, testicular exams, transvaginal exams on phantoms, babies, pelvic exams on females, and complete abdomen exams.
So this machine is going to be used on the mannequins or on the real people?
It's going to be used on both.
On both?
Yes, on model patients, volunteer model patients, and phantoms that we have on the lab. Yes, we need volunteers.
Thank you. Do I need to make an appointment?
He was being sarcastic.
Sign him up.
Sign me up.
Okay, so my motion is to award RFP 21-14 for diagnostic ultrasound systems training to Sonosource Inc. in the amount of $38,215 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Okay.
Second by Mr. De Leon. Listen carefully. All those in favor signify by saying yay.
Yay. Oh, wait, I don't say that, sorry.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying yay.
Yay. Yay.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
I have a question. This is just mind blowing, the state-of-the-art equipment that we're buying at this college.
Yes.
It's just, for someone like me that's been here for 50 years, it just it's hard to comprehend. My question is, what do we do with the obsolete equipment? Do we donate it? I hope we don't auction it. I mean, there's plenty of communities to the south of us and other places that could really use the equipment that we are no longer going to use.
Dr. Figueroa can answer the questions, what we do with equipment that's no longer in use.
I know that there's some laws that we have to
Yes.
follow.
Yes, sir. We do have a policy at the college on disposal of property. The policy is legal and local. So we follow the regulations on how to dispose that. Once the property is being deemed unnecessary for the college, we have to go through a process where it depends on the value of that at the disposal time or the type of funds that purchase that property. Like this items that are being purchased with federal money, we cannot sell or dispose on the same item that we will sell something that we purchase with our regular funds. After that determination is done on how the items were acquired, and we already know it's no longer usable, we do proceed to have them in auction. And that policy was reviewed, I believe about a year ago or so by Mr. Perez, where he determined that we cannot just flat donate, but anybody is welcome to come to any of our auctions and purchase any items.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
8K, consideration and possible action on approval of building automation system upgrades proposed from Siemens Industry, Inc. And I'll call on Mr. Ariel de la Fuente. Present the item.
Good afternoon, Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Good afternoon again. So yes, I'm going to be presenting the building automation system purchase through the CARES Act. As we speak, right now, around 70% of the campus heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, as well as lighting system, is being controlled by Siemens Apogee. This particular software, Siemens Apogee, has been in place since 1998, and we need to migrate to the newest software version, the newest platform. This new platform would be compatible with the current versions of Windows operating systems, and it would also bring us functionality and flexibility while managing the HVAC or HVAC controls throughout the campus. Siemens is the sole proprietor of the Apogee system. Therefore, we would have to do these upgrades throughout this particular company.
Okay, and my motion is to approve the proposal for building automation system upgrades in the amount of $850,000 from Siemens Industry, Inc. through sole source purchasing method, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented. That's my motion.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Ms. Sines. Any discussion on this icy item?
I have a question. So, Mr. Ariel, you said that it's for the campus. Does that also include ITEC building?
Yes, it does.
So it
does.
will be all connected.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any magic words to this?
You already said the CARES Act.
CARES Act too?
Yes.
Pay attention.
I take my pricey comment back. There's a motion and there's a second.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
8I. Consideration and possible action on approval of touchless restroom equipment purchase from Granier. I'll call on Mr. LaFuente to present the item. Boy, our committee just spend the money.
Yes, yes. Chairman Herrera.
Roll.
Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, good evening again. Yes, the second presentation is in regards to the touchless restroom automation systems that we are hoping we can purchase throughout the CARES Act. So we're proposing to purchase these touchless equipment that will help us automate the restrooms through Omnia Partners, which is a co-op. And this would help us automate 324 toilets and 312 faucets, and therefore making a safer campus because it will help us alleviate or mitigate the spread of germs or diseases by handling these sort of equipment.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of touchless restroom equipment in the amount of $186,206 from Granier through Omnia Partners Contract R192002 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order as presented. That's my motion.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. There's a second by Dr. Zavaleta. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. Yes, I know, right? But go figure. Okay, so you said here that there's 324 toilets. Is that all the toilets in this community college?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
All of them?
All of them, including, we have 24 residential and the rest are commercial, and 312 faucets. And those will be automated with these pieces of equipment.
Does that include ITEC?
Yes, it does, ma'am.
Does that include portability?
What? Oh,
thank you, sir.
Okay. Oh, and it's through CARES as well. So
there is a motion on the floor, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
8M.
Yes.
Consideration and possible action on approval of audio and video equipment purchased from Howard Technology Solutions. And I'll call on Mr. Villarreal.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Mr. Chairman and Board of Trustees. CARES Act, magic words. Okay, and just to be clear, as you may recall, in December of 2019, we submitted an RFP for audiovisual technology in the classrooms as part of the teaching and learning project. And the board approved Howard Technology as the vendor of record to become our partner for audiovisual equipment. We have spent that money, and now we would like to extend the CARES Act money to continue to purchase audiovisual equipment through Howard Technologies for buildings like we didn't cover during the initial request. So this would include the digital library, iTech, new classrooms in Tandy, Olivetta, and so on. You'll see in the presentation that we mentioned the $606,587. That's already been identified that we need to upgrade. However, it's going to be more and it will be covered through the CARES Act. So I think that's why the item doesn't have a specified amount. Is that correct? Because we know there will be 606,000, but as we build out Rustenburg and as we find other classroom spaces, we will also be asking Howard Technology to partner with us to provide technology for that. Do you want to speak to that?
For clarification, I just wanted to mention that each and every item that you've seen tonight through the CARES Act, we have already asked our program manager with the Department of Education for his approval to do this project. So we don't bring the projects for your approval until first we seek them to make sure they're okay, right? And once they say, yes, this is an approved purchase, it's within the guidelines that the grant requires. One of the things that this CARES grant is very, or the main purpose is to ensure that students, when they come back to campus or while we do remote instruction, they're able to keep safe. One of the items that we've been looking at is at adding additional classrooms that are large enough to keep social distancing should we bring all of our students back to campus. That's why we are approving the item with the understanding that we have identified currently $619,000 from the CARES Act, but potentially can be more as we prepare for fall semester with classes on campus.
Madam Chair, may I?
I'm going to make my motion. To approve Howard, I'll make a motion to approve Howard Technology Solutions as approved vendor for audio and video equipment through by board contract 579-19 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
There's a second. Now discussion. May I?
Yes, sir.
What is the price on this and why does it not, is not reflected on the motion?
The price, it's not reflected on the motion as how was mentioned because we have identified on the prior slide, we did put the price of $606,000, which includes the digital library, iTech classrooms in Olivetta and classrooms in additional classrooms in Tandy. What we're stating no item on the motion, it's because as we prepare for fall semester, we might identify the need for additional classrooms.
And why don't you bring those additional requests whenever you identify them? Why are we going to approve a blank item?
Well,
part of the CARES Act, I don't want to say rush, our urgency to get this done is one, we have a few months between now and the fall semester to get ready. Second, we have to prepare the items and bring them when they are already pre-approved. We're utilizing by board. That's why we're requesting that, saying we have identified. We might not need any additional. We can bring you a report afterwards if we do buy any additional items, unless you only allow us to buy that and we keep on bringing. But there's timing issues with the grant for ordering and receiving those items. In other words, they're not off-the-shelf items that we can just in one day, from one day to the next, bring them to campus. So we're trying to plan for fall semester. But again, that is the proposal that it's on the table. At the end, we'll work with what you approve us to do, sir.
Well, the problem is, what is the price tag on this? I mean, you, Mr. Villarreal said there could be more. What is more? What is less? That's my issue with this item.
Well, have to
We
remember,
cannot-
Mr.
We cannot
Herrera,
spend more than that
The
we have.
Federal Care Act funds, it has a lot of guidelines, mind you. So this particular item have already been approved, except because they're having additional, classrooms or whatever, rooms or whatever. They can't really say how many more items. So if we don't approve it, one, remember, we have to order some of them. And then if we lose out on getting the order, then we lose out on the funds, and then we're stuck with nothing.
So if I may, Mr. Herrera, try to answer it a different way. When we were preparing the items for the CARES Act, there was a deadline. And the deadline required us to be in front of the board, I think, in the April meeting or something like that. While that was all happening, Dr. Figueroa was reaching out to the Department of Education to request an extension. So the $606,000 was prepared because that's what we could get Howard Technology to assess at the time. But we know that there are other areas where we might want to expand the classrooms. In essence, if you'll recall, back in December of 2019, when I presented the RP, what I wanted the board to approve was not only the amount for teaching and learning, but the very fact that Howard was now going to be our partner going forward, because we can't afford to bring in competing technology. We want consistency in our classrooms and so on. So yeah, I think there was a debate when we put this together that do we say 606,000 knowing that we're going to actually probably request more? And it's not a blank check, right? And it's not our money either. So we know that there are additional funds available for the CARES Act. We just haven't assessed everything yet. So we were kind of caught between, frankly. We were trying to get the number in time to present to the board because the Department of Education is also expecting us to spend money, because as we request other funds, they want to see a show of good faith that we are actually already spending the funds that we requested. Otherwise, it's like, why are you requesting additional funds? So I think we got caught kind of in the middle. And so we know there's 606,000. I'm estimating there's probably going to be closer to 800,000 or something like that.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
8N, consideration and possible action on approval of uninterruptible power supply equipment purchase from CDW government. I'll call on Mr. Villarreal to present the item.
Still me. So this is a CARES Act purchase. And in this case, we have identified what we need completely. And so this isn't as sexy as the mannequins that give birth and all that stuff, but this is equipment that helps power our network closets throughout the campus that'll help power those mannequins. These are the uninterruptible power supplies that sit next to our networking gear so that should we have a power outage, they protect some of that gear from dying or failing in a non-standard way. And so we're asking for the approval of $75,000 plus almost $76,000.
What we used to call ups.
Yeah, this is UPS, uninterruptible power supply.
Thank you.
My motion is to approve the purchase of uninterruptible power supplies, UPSs, equipment in the amount of $75,999 from CDW government through DIR TSO 3865 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contract as presented.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Ms. Science. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
What?
Mr. Villarreal, we've already purchased more of this equipment before, right?
Have we purchased more of this equipment before? No, we have.
This is the first time?
No, this is you're thinking probably of the switches and things like that. Yes. They look a little similar. So
Okay, thank you.
without this, the switches will die.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Good
There's a
question.
motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Patterson. You spent
I spent a lot of money. It was fun. It's always fun to buy with somebody else's money. Thank you.
Next item is item number 9. I'll call on Ms. Science. Give a report.
The Facilities Committee met on Wednesday, April 14, 2021. Present were Ms. Eva Alejandro, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and college legal counsel. The committee discussed the following items. Facilities update. I call on Dr. Figueroa, Vice President of Finance and Administration, and Mr. Ariel de la Fuente, Executive Director of Facilities and Physical Plant, to present the item.
Thank you. Ms. Science. There. We have a couple of items for to present to you today on some of the updates on the projects that we've been working for our campus. There's two major projects that we've been bringing to your attention, and we just wanted to let you know where we stand. Mr. De La Fuente will do that presentation for us.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa, Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, good evening again. The first update we're going to present pertains to the campus parking lot improvements. So throughout the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, the vendors, surveyors have been working throughout the campus, throughout the campus parking lots, executing the surveying for this particular project. This is the timeline that the vendor, Ambiotech, provided to us. Those cells that you see in green are the surveys that have been completed. Those that you see in yellow are the ones that are ongoing as we speak. And those in red are those that have yet to be started. As you can see, the last red cell falls in the 4th week of May. That's when the surveying is gonna be concluded. On this particular slide, I wanted to give you like a graphic of a visual representation of what has been done, what is in process. So the area where Tandy, Leitner, and Music Building is, that area has been surveyed already. The area from the thermal plant and north all the way to Set B, that one is in process. And the parking lot here in front of us in Gorgas and Commissary, as well as in iTech, has yet to be commenced, but will be done by the end of May. So the next steps is for the architect to conclude the surveying and construction documents, which will be provided to us by the end of May. And then after that, we will advertise an RFP for the general contractors to be released in the end of May as well, or hopefully early June. Any questions or comments in regards to this particular item?
Who's the surveyor company?
It's Ambiotech.
And we will be using the student fees money to pay for this in the amount of $1,200,000.
We'll be using the student fees that we have. Ma'am, we don't know the extent of the project because it has not been bidded out. So at this point, we're looking into the surveying first, and then the next step will be the RFP. But yes, the project will be paid with the student parking fees.
Don't we have an existing open contract for paving?
No, sir.
We do not.
We do not have an open contract
I
for
remember
paving.
we discussed that a couple of years ago.
Currently, there is not an open contract for
All
paving.
right, good. I think I blocked it. Can you tell me what the purpose of the surveying is?
It's to assess the need of the parking lot and what will be requested on the request for proposal.
You must have, so you
Well, the
must.
thing is, it's like actually just a measurement, and so they don't go.
They know the measurement.
But they measure
All right, I understand what you're saying.
the thickness, the grades of the current paving, the conditions, and therefore they determine what is needed to
So it's
repave.
not just an overlay or
Oh, no, sir.
a top coat.
No, doctor, no.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. The next update pertains to the iTech roof renovation. On the first couple of slides, we're able to see the current conditions of the Dillard's area, or what used to be Dillard's conditions. And the update that we wanted to present is that The architect, their team of engineers and myself met on site on March the 25th. We walked the first, second floor, as well as the roof. We reviewed and confirmed the scope of work. This particular architect, which is GMS, is in process of generating the scope of work, which include the abatement, remediation, and construction. And the next step is for the architect GMS to provide the design and construction documents. He stated that he would have them ready by early May the 6th to be exact. And after that, once those documents are provided, we're gonna advertise an RFP for general contractors, hopefully early June of this year.
Are the Penny's space and the Dillard space included in this?
No, sir, just a Dillard space.
At some point, we got to take that on.
Yes,
Or we're just going to have two big holes.
yes, sir.
All right.
Hope the CARES Act covers that too.
No, sir.
We're gonna have to hit that 68.
No construction at all.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment. In my opinion, I think that we need to be more proactive and work on these buildings as the work is needed, because if we let it go, we're going to have another huge expense, where if we take care of it as it's happening, we won't have to pay that much. So I really think that we need to be more proactive and work on these buildings as needed. And we are getting a savings by using the CARES Act monies, $2 million or so. So we have, I'm hoping we have money to spend on those brick and mortar
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
projects.
We'll look into it.
Did I jump you? Did I jump the gun?
It's your committee, you're the chair.
Okay.
But then it comes to the board, right?
But it is music to our ears. That's all I got to tell you. To my ears.
Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Ms. Lenz? Members of the board? Chairman Herrera? Okay, that concludes my update.
This concludes my report, and this item is for information purposes only. No action required.
I thought I had spent a lot of money, but you said, quítate que voy. You're in the millions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hines. Next item is number 10, Policy Committee.
No one from the policy committees here.
Both members had emergencies and other things to do, but I will be presenting this item. And this is Local C, Business and Supportive Services, CF, Purchasing and Acquisition. And I will call on President Jesus Roberto Rodriguez to present the item.
Thank you, Chair Herrera and Board of Trustees. The Policy Committee did meet on Wednesday, April the 14th, 2021. Present were Chair Ms. Eva Alejandro, Co-Chair Ms. Alejandra Aldrete, members of the TSC administration, College Legal Counsel, and Board Legal Counsel, and myself. The committee discussed CF Local, and before you, we present for your consideration and possible action the adoption of Local Policy CF as presented.
I will make a motion to approve Policy CF as presented by the administration.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any discussion?
I have a question. I mean, I'd like to know what decision was made or what you're suggesting.
Yes, sir.
Changing the policy.
Okay.
The changes are, some of them are still reflected in the red. If you look at page 1 on the consulting services, we added an instructors as service. That's more the impact on our workforce size, and sometimes we need to be instructors for the CE programs. If you look at the bottom of page 1, section consulting services, it says and instructors.
That was added.
Yes.
Okay.
And then in section page 2 on the electronic bids for proposals, is trying to streamline what we're doing, and we're trying to incorporate the electronic bids or proposals be accepted as long as, and you lay out the process. Because right now we were not working with that one. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Figueroa if you want to elaborate a little bit more on that.
And these, as in other policies, changes, this has been approved by the great fathers and mothers in Austin?
And TASP, yes, sir. This policy has been reviewed by TASP and legal.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? In 10B, there was a proposed policy. We got a letter from TASFE that said that it was redundant. Therefore, I withdrew for consideration the policy, and I think we have resolved the communication issue.
Good.
So there is no action on this item. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the executive session. It is now 7:35, and the board will convene in the boardroom.
Mr. Perez, are we supposed to read the executive session?
That would be appropriate.
I always have, but I didn't know if.
Let me go back. The board will now convene an executive session as provided by Government Code, Chapter 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. We will now reconvene from executive session.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion I move to adopt the FY 2021 salary schedule as presented in executive session.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Sines. Any discussion?
No discussion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, announcement of proposed meeting dates. The proposed meeting dates are a regular board meeting Thursday, May 20th at 5:30, and a regular board meeting for Thursday, June 17th at 5:30. And item number 14, is there a motion for adjournment?
I so move.
There's a motion on the table.
Second?
Second by Ms. Garza. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
I oppose.
We are now adjourned. Thank you.